Now, number 10, a Pluto slug. Some people say Pluto isn't a planet or just a main planet anymore, just a dwarf planet. And to that, I say, no, Pluto is a real planet in my heart, okay? Anyways, on to what really matters. In 2016, NASA's New Horizons spacecraft got some nice pics of an icy region on Pluto's surface. If you look at the picture, there's like a little black formation in the center, and behind it is a trail. So it looks like a little slug has been making its way across the icy terrain, carving its own little path, making its way through this just desolate space. No, okay, I'm not crying because it's actually a slug, because it probably isn't. The scientists are saying it's likely a dirty block of water ice floating in a denser solid of nitrogen, so not a slug, but like it looks like it. It still is a mystery on what exactly it is, because that's more a hypothesis, you could say, but it's probably not a slug. But it doesn't stop me from thinking, like, doesn't that sound like a nice children's book or something? The slug on Pluto. It'd be so cute. That's all I'm thinking. On to number 9, the Mars spoon? Question mark? So this is a much closer planet than Pluto, who is still a planet in my heart. So this is Mars. So on a photo captured by the beloved NASA Curiosity rover, you can see what looks like a spoon, possibly? Like, it looks like a spoon, honestly. There's a handle, check. Mini concave element on the end of the handle, also check. Yes, it just looks like it's covered in dust because it's on the surface of Mars, which is, you know, a red, dusty planet, but spoon, nonetheless. This was spotted by a YouTube user called UFO Hunter, which led to more people kind of agreeing and being like, yeah, it looks kind of like a spoon. From then on, more people were questioning, just like, yo, where did this spoon come from? Was a Martian eating an ice cream sundae before an entire Martian race was just wiped out? And so that's kind of what UFO Hunter was thinking, saying it may be left over from a lost civilization, but we could just be projecting our ideas onto a clump of space dust, honestly. What if it's one of those things where you just touch it and it crumbles? Could be. I don't know. At number 8, fish rock. Is this another thing we could just be projecting? This fish-looking thing spotted on Mars is probably just a rock, but we gotta remember, Mars once had an ocean even bigger than the Arctic Ocean. And even if it could be a rock, and probably is a rock, look at the similarities to a fish. An upturned nose, a fin, and even a finned tail too. Have I ever caught a fish? No. And have I tried? Yes, but if I did catch one, I bet it would look like this, and I bet it would also be a rock that I was trying to convince people was a fish. But let's move on to number 7, face on Jupiter. So yes, let's hop on over to another planet, our big one in our solar system, the big old gas giant Jupiter. And now this image shows what looks like a derpy looking face on the gas giant. It even has a lovely name. Wait for it. Jovi McJupiter face. Very nice, very cute. So this face was awarded that beautiful name by Jason Major, a citizen scientist who rotated a photo that NASA took. Now, NASA's Juno spacecraft sent down an unaltered photo, and Major was like, nah. Let's interpret these two storms as eyes and the wider swirling red part as a mouth, which is genius. Now, Jovi McJupiter face obviously shows we can see the beauty and art in anything in nature and life. So now the next section that we're going to be talking about is staying within the realm of our solar system, but going a little closer, a little smaller. So let's take a peek at the moons we have. So at number 6 we have Ravioli Moon. This delectable little treat of a moon is one of Saturn's moons. Its name is Pan, and yes, it looks like a little treat of ravioli. And ravioli gets tossed in a pan with butter or oil, right? Does that blend the two names together enough for you? Connections. Fun. Anyways, the reason it looks like the pasta is because material from Saturn's rings falls onto Pan's equator, and the buildup results in the really unique buildup on the equator that makes me think, you know, ravioli. But maybe if you don't have food on the brain, you may think Pan looks more like a flying saucer, and in that case, right on. But for me, ravioli. On to number 5, Death Star Moon. The second and last of our honorable moon mentions is Mimas, or Mimas, aka the Death Star Moon. Now this is another of Saturn's many moons, and this one garners a few more eyes because of its similarities to the Death Star from Star Wars. And you know, the big dish on the Death Star? Boom, big crater on Mimas. Is this really the Death Star in disguise? Probably not, since it's been orbiting Saturn for a bit, plus that idea was mainly for a fictional universe. Also mainly, this moon is really big. So Mimas is 396 kilometers in diameter, and the first Death Star and second Death Star were both between 160 and 140 kilometers in diameter. So if you're thinking, yeah, but what about the third Death Star? Well, that one's too big, measuring about 900 kilometers in diameter, so it's not that one either. So it's not the Death Star in disguise, so you can, you know, exhale and breathe a little bit. But it is a cool looking moon, so Yep. Okay, so next up is not only out of this world, but also out of this solar system. The next three we have are nebulas, which, if you don't know, are super cool on their own, even if they don't look like anything in particular, but these next three have the added X factor of looking just really cool. At number 4, we have Horsehead Nebula. So this first nebula we're looking at was captured by the Hubble Space Telescope back in 2013. The stunning nebula got the nickname Horsehead Nebula because of its looks. Think back to cloud watching when you were younger and seeing the shapes in them, and you can see that this nebula looks like the head and neck of a horse in this image with the nose of the horse facing the left. And unfortunately, we can't pay this little horsey a visit because it's about 1,500 light years away from the Orion constellation. And for reference, Orion's constellation is 243 to 1,360 light years away from us, so little ways away, but you can still admire it for its beautiful looks. This next one, number 3, is Space Crab. And so this one is quite a ways further. It's about 6,500 light years away from Earth, and it's the Crab Nebula. Now, let's look a bit more at this 5-layered composite image of this bad boy. So the composite image, it looks like something out of a movie. 1, stunning. And then again, 2, the colors, magnificent, such range. Do I sound like I'm impersonating Jonathan Van Ness? Yes. It looks like an artist made it. It's beautiful. And yes, this nebula is called the Crab Nebula because the range of its legs, so it said, but others have also compared these outstretchings to an octopus's tentacles. And so if you're having a hard time seeing these legs or arms that I'm talking about, look mainly at the pink sections and a little bit at the yellow, and I find it helps you paint a picture of what you're looking at. I am the nebula. On to another nebula, the Twin Jet Nebula, also known as a space butterfly. So this cosmic butterfly looking thing is actually a 2-lobed nebula. It has the official name PNM2-9, and it was originally spotted back in 1947. It's more commonly known as the Twin Jet Nebula because really it looks like 2 jets coming out of the back of a rocket ship colliding into one another and then the blasts radiating outwards. I feel like you could even argue it's 2 pop bottles head to head shrouded in like a green atmosphere. But then if you look right in the center, I say it looks like a fairy from Legend of Zelda, which looks a bit like a butterfly. So that's where you get the name Cosmic Butterfly. Mystery solved. The Twin Jet Nebula is obviously a fairy from Legend of Zelda. You're welcome. So our number 1 is the D&D asteroid. And obviously this one is my number 1 because I am a gamer. A tabletop role-playing gamer, that is. Asteroid 2017 BQ6 has been compared to dice used in playing Dungeons & Dragons and also other tabletop games because of its angular shape. And you kind of have to know that this is kind of odd because most planets and stuff around space is rounded. Kind of looks like a bunch of either spheres or just potatoes passing through. And so this asteroid passed from a distance of about 1.6 million miles away, but it didn't, land anywhere like dice usually do. And like, if you think about it, there's already enough people thinking we are living in a simulation. But guys, what if we live in a game? One of their dice in the great unknown fell into space, and now they're laughing at us because we rolled a natural 1 on perception. A simulation game. You're thinking The Sims, I'm thinking they're just dictating each of our lives with dice rolls. It's all up to random. Who knows?
So starting off this list strong, in at number 10, let's talk about the 1954 meteorite that fell from space and it actually hit someone. This right here is Anne Elizabeth Fowler Hodges. She became a part of history when she survived being struck by a fragment of a meteorite. I mean, how many people can say that? The Sylacauga meteorite is the first documented extraterrestrial object to have injured a human being. So let me tell you guys what happened. A piece of this meteorite crashed through the roof of a farmhouse located in Alabama, and it bounced off a large wooden console radio, and then it hit Hodges while she was napping on the couch. Imagine like that's how you woke up. You woke up by being hit by a piece of meteorite that came from outer space. This made headline news, and I was looking into what happened to that meteorite because maybe that woman can sell it and become super rich. I'm not exactly sure on how much they sell for, but probably a lot, right? But this meteorite was actually confiscated by the police, who turned it over to the United States Air Force. So yeah, this woman lucked out. I don't know why she wasn't able to keep it. Moving into number 9, we have the Roswell UFO incident that took place in 1947. Take a look at this. This came crashing down to Earth, and if you search this into Google, you can find these images as well. Clearly looks like an alien, and also you can see more UFO pictures. Can this really be a UFO crash site? Well, there are obviously many conspiracy theories around this crash because the US military stated that it is a United States Army Air Force balloon crash, while others say that this might be one huge cover-up and it's actually an alien spacecraft. What do you guys believe? I'm going with it might be an alien spacecraft. And at number 8, we have a piece of the moon. It's always scarier taking pieces of the moon because you just never know what type of airborne bacteria can live on it. There was actually a lunar meteorite found in northern Africa not too long ago, and just a tiny piece of it sold for more than $600,000. Imagine a piece of the moon just fell into your backyard, making you instantly a millionaire. There hasn't been a long-term human exposure to the lunar environment, but apparently the exposure to lunar dust can actually result in severe health risks from direct exposure or exposure from over time. So saying that, whoever owns a piece of the moon, hopefully they're keeping it well contaminated. Alright, number 7, you guys saw it in the intro of this video, you saw a little clip of it, but let's talk about the 2017, which was not too long ago. Well, I'm talking about the discovery of the Oumuamua, which was the first interstellar object ever detected in our solar system. Oumuamua, hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Probably not, but in Hawaiian, it actually translates to first-time visitor from far away. Of course, when this object was made public, millions of people questioned, is it aliens? Others ask, where did it come from, or what does this mean for us? Could this be an invasion on Earth? Well, scientists from Harvard University believe yes. This could actually be signs of alien civilization. When you hear about a bold claim like that, coming from Harvard scientists, it actually makes you wonder. When Oumuamua traveled through our solar system, it actually didn't travel on a normal path. And as you know, as normal objects would travel in, and it's usually due to the sun's gravity, but instead it made its own path. So it makes us think maybe this thing was powered by some sort of thrusters. So it could be plausible that it was a spacecraft. Number 6, we have a satellite that fell to Earth. Have you guys heard the story of the Cosmos 954? Well, me neither. I had to do the research for this one. Well, back on January 24th in 1978, a Soviet satellite malfunctioned, which prevented a safe separation of its onboard nuclear reactor, so pieces of the Cosmos entered Earth, shattering around northern Canada. Now, this is pretty messed up. Luckily, no one was killed by this. Just imagine if like North Korean satellite crashed on American soil. I mean, that might spark World War III. So there's actually a law that everyone has to follow when it comes to space. So under the terms of the 1972 Space Liability Convention, whoever launched an object into outer space is liable for damages caused by that object. So saying that, the Canadian government billed the Soviet Union over $6 million for the cost of the cleanup and also for additional compensation for future unpredicted expenses. But the USSR paid just $3 million. From a failed USSR satellite to something that you would never expect coming from space, or should I say you wouldn't expect someone coming from space. An alien? Well, at number 5, let me introduce you guys to Fearless Felix, who is not an alien. He's just a crazy person.
Jumper away. Speed 725. Showing Felix in a stable.
Is this real life right now? That is absolutely insane. Why? I have been skydiving, but I jumped from like 8 to 10,000 feet. Felix jumped from over 128,000 feet. This guy is absolutely nuts. I think this guy almost reached the moon. Okay, maybe not quite. This guy wasn't inside of Earth and when he jumped, but luckily for him, it was a huge success. Okay, let me take you guys over to Mongolia, and at number 4. There was this 2-ton object that crashed to the Earth near the Mongolian capital back in 2019. This object was added to the MUFON Witness database, which is actually the UFO network database. I didn't know there was a UFO database. How many aliens are on it? So people are actually believing this foreign object might be a UFO. The object looks like it has a rocket or a jet engine. It seems like the object came crashing down in a field of cows and no one knows what it is. On Reddit, people believed that it might be a hydrogen tank, and a lot of people think that this picture might actually be fake because one person pointed out, where's the crater that a heavy and large object would create? I mean, that is a pretty valid point. It's time to time travel for a sec in at number 3. Let me take you guys back like 80,000 years ago. I know it's a long time. And let's talk about the Huba meteorite that came crashing down on Earth. It wasn't until 1920 when a farmer found it on his field. Well, this thing weighs 60 tons, and it is known to be the largest known meteorite to be found. Today, it has been turned into a national monument, so now it's a great tourist attraction. Moving into number 2, let's talk about the meteorite that changed the history on Earth, like literally. More specifically, well, let's talk about the massive meteorite that might have been responsible for the extinction of the dinosaurs. If you guys don't believe this theory, what wiped out the dinosaurs, let me know in the comment section below and be as stupid as you guys want. I'll see what you guys type down there. Okay, that asteroid that you guys saw must have been huge if it left no dinosaurs behind. It is believed that the asteroid or comet was about 11 to 81 kilometers long, which is super massive. Finally, number 1, I saved the scariest for last. NASA actually predicts that in 2023, there's going to be an asteroid that is on a collision course with Earth that can do some pretty serious damage. The asteroid is twice the size of Big Ben, and I looked up Big Ben, and Big Ben is massive. And then imagine Big Ben, and then times it by 2, and then adding like fire all around it. That can ruin a whole city. Imagine if that hit like a dense city like New York, or what about if it hit like Shanghai, China? A population of over 24 million people. That can wipe out everyone. My biggest question right now is how accurate is NASA? I'm hoping that they're not too accurate. But then again, if NASA wasn't accurate, I don't know if that would be more scarier.
Starting off at number 10, we have the WOW signal. In 1977, Big Ear Radio Observatory at The Ohio State University, it got its name from the WOW written in red pen beside the numbers representing the signals that were caught. In 2006, astronomer Antonio Paris suggested that the WOW signal from 1997 was a natural phenomenon created by a comet. 22P Christensen was the name of the comet they were thinking, and it emitted bizarre radio signals, was kind of what they assumed it could be. But the original astronomer who discovered the signal, Jeremy Amen, said, no way. Well, really what he says, we can't believe that the two comets theory can explain the WOW signal, so same thing to no way. Some think the signal could be from another space mystery, a blip in the machinery, or possibly extraterrestrial life. Maybe aliens were trying to send us a little voice memo, but our tech wasn't really ready. Who knows? This leads me to our next one, which is another kind of signal. At number 9, we have repeating fast radio bursts. Repeating fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are brief bursts of radio waves from deep space. There's not an agreement on what they are or where they're coming from, but there have been talk that these flashes of radio energy could be coming from a supernova remnant or a neutron star orbiting a black hole. When it comes to repeating fast radio bursts, it's different than just regular FRBs. Since they aren't as jumbled and disrupted through their journey, it's thought they come from a calmer environment. This idea is supported by the fact that repeat FRBs are also about 10 times longer in duration than standard FRBs, 10 milliseconds to 1 millisecond respectively. What could the calmer environment they are coming from be? Say it with me now. Aliens. Aliens, calmer environment, they're just like beep beep beep, they're just trying to get in touch with us. I'm thinking, we're just not ready. I'm gonna keep saying this. That's what I believe. But at number 8, neutrinos, aka ghost particles. Now, I'm not going to even attempt to go over the physics too much because I stopped that the second I stopped studying for my grade 11 physics exam in high school, but I'll dive into neutrinos at their basics. At their basics, neutrinos are tiny particles with almost no mass and nearly no charge, kind of neutral like their name. Since there's not much to them, they're similar to nothing. Nothing as in the concept, nothingness. And because of this, they get their moniker ghost particles. They travel at near light speeds and originate from stars and supernovas, which means the sun also gives off neutrinos. But the cool thing is that neutrinos can come from really far and have a lot of energy. Last year, scientists were even able to trace one really energized one to a galaxy about 4 billion light years away from Earth. There's a lot we don't know about neutrinos, which is kind of where the mystery of them lies. I didn't even know they were a thing before like last week. It's cool. But on to number 7, exomoon. For a long time, scientists were only able to locate moons within our own galaxy. We found exoplanets, sure, rotating around stars outside our solar system, but exomoons have been tougher to locate. possibly due to their smaller size. It was a mystery in itself, wondering if moons were just a thing in the Milky Way, but an exomoon may have been discovered last year. It's about the size of Neptune and it orbits a huge exoplanet called Kepler 1625. It's a big moon, bigger than any of the moons in our solar system, but the mass ratio of planet to moon between Kepler 1625 and the exomoon is similar to Earth and our moon. So there's exomoons! There's so much we don't know, and we're just starting to explore it. But talking about moons, let's talk about number 6, Enceladus. Enceladus is one of Saturn's moons. New info about it and its plumes that rise from its subsurface ocean came out in the journal Nature. Its plumes are apparently home to some complex organic molecules, and one study detailed the latest data. In a statement by study co-author Christopher Glein, a scientist that specializes in extraterrestrial chemical oceanography, he says they found organic molecules with masses above 200 atomic mass units. For some context, that's over 10 times heavier than methane. Cow farts. Just context. With complex organic molecules emanating from its liquid water ocean, this moon is the only body besides Earth known to simultaneously satisfy all of the basic requirements for life as we know it. So are we hopping over to Enceladus? But no, at least not yet. Could it get ready? Who knows? Space. But anyways, while we're still talking about moons that may host life in our own solar system one day, let's hit number 5, Europa, also known as Jupiter's moon. And yeah, it's covered in ice, but beneath that icy exterior is a salty liquid ocean, and scientists and researchers think there's a plume there. From what I've said about Enceladus, we know a plume means hope of some sort of life. Gases being released from below the surface indicate that there could be microbes living by or in vents deep on the ocean floor. That is, if there are the necessary ingredients to host that life. But maybe the discovery of these plumes is the first step, and next is to see what's in them. And we'll get there. Space is just really, it takes a long time to travel, get there, but we'll get there. Space. Elon Musk is trying. But enough about that, let's move on to number 4, a pinwheel star system named APEP. Out in space, scientists have discovered a Wolf-Rayet star system that involves 3 stars. 2 massive stars are orbiting one another, and another star is bound to those 2 by gravity, 8,000 light years away from us in the Milky Way galaxy. The result is a pinwheel-like star system with a wind of material and dust cloud and surrounding it. It has the first pinwheel-like star system discovered, so its future outcome is unknown. Kind of like how it will end. So if it slows down, it could explode as a normal supernova like the end of any star's life, but if its speed maintains, it will collapse at the poles first, think like flattening, and produce a gamma ray burst, so just kind of cool looking, but if it's aimed at us, it could strip the ozone from our atmosphere. But that shouldn't be for a while because the Wolf-Rayet stage in a star's life lasts a few 100,000 years, so we shouldn't be worried about that. Cool instance either way. But let's go on to number 3, Bose-Einstein condensate. So this is a mysterious state of matter, and well, it's the 5th state of matter. We know gases, liquids, solids, 3 states of matter, and even the really cool 4th state of matter, the plasma state. But you know what's even cooler? Bose-Einstein condensate. In 2018, on the International Space Station, scientists cooled a cloud of rubidium atoms to barely above absolute zero. This produced a Bose-Einstein condensate in space. They did this with lasers to take energy away from the atoms because when the atoms reach that low of a temperature, they clump and start to behave as a single atom, just like. And yes, while this state of matter was predicted on Earth by an Indian physicist named Satyendra Nath Bose, it became a reality in space on the ISS. But 5 states of matter, what's next? Parallel universes? Maybe. But let's look at another mystery at number 2, Oumuamua. Scientists discovered the first known interstellar object to pay our solar system a visit in 2017. Scientists were confused as to whether or not it behaved more like a comet or an asteroid when a reddish cigar-shaped object whizzed past us. It was named Oumuamua, and according to NASA, observations suggest this unusual object had been wandering through the Milky Way, unattached to any star system, for hundreds of millions of years before its chance to encounter with our star system. What makes Oumuamua really cool is its shape. Scientists determined the passing object's shape because of its brightness. Its brightness would vary by a factor of 10, as they hypothesized that it spun on its axis every 7 and a bit hours. Then they determined that its length was possibly 10 times as long as it is wide, but this is atypical since elongated objects we have seen so far have been more than 3 times longer than their width. Like, it's not common for something just to be like through space. You think it's like a rock. So that's gotten people thinking, what if it wasn't a cigar-shaped rock, and what if it was like some other kind of visitor? You know? Did you catch the drift? Like they said the brightness varied, it was a blinking light on a spaceship. I'm just saying it could be. I also didn't continue with sciences, so don't quote me. At number 1, an absolutely massive black hole. A wild discovery from researchers at Australian National University was them locating a quasar, aka a supermassive black hole. It's 12 billion light years away, and it's the brightest quasar that can be seen at this moment. It's so massive and awesome and hungry that existing science on black holes kind of needs to be reviewed. What we believe to be true now is that black holes have a limit to how fast they grow proportional to their mass. This quasar is about the size of 20 billion suns, a big number, so if we use the speed limit formula to go back in time about 1.2 billion years to the Big Bang, it would be the size of 5,000 suns. What makes this so odd is that the average black hole is the size of 50 suns. 5,000 suns is huge, and how is it already that big so close to the Big Bang? Or is math for black holes and how fast they grow different? What is the truth? Science, explain.